Hello, my dear students. Welcome back to your channel. Yes, this time this video is for my class 9 students, and today we shall be doing the very first poem in your ICSE syllabus, that is the Night Meal. And just to reiterate, I'm following the textbook which is prescribed in your ICSE syllabus, Treasure Chest, a collection of ICSE poems and short stories. So the poem in our syllabus, the very first poem is The Night Meal. It is on page 20. And as I always say, it is very important to read about the poet which is given in the beginning of the text. Alright, so let us read and find out what is there. W.H. Auden was born on 21st February 1907 and he passed away on 29 September 1973. He was a British American poet who was born in England in a professional middle class family. Alright, we leave 2 paragraphs and come down, rather 3 paragraphs and come down. Night Meal originated from the desire to produce a film that would serve as a public face of a modern, trustworthy postal system, in addition to boosting the low morale of postal workers at that time. So, you see, when the poem was first conceived, it was thought of as a film, and accordingly a film was made on this idea that there would be this railway carriage carrying letters. Alright, why was this conceived? Because at that point of time, you see, workers or the people who were involved in the postal service department were not given much of importance, and also the mail train did not gain much of a popularity among the masses. Alright, so to grab the attention of common men, Night Meal was conceived and it was made into a film so that it could be passed on to the people in a very easy manner. Night Meal, 1936, revised in 1966 as a poem by W.H. Auden, written in 1935 as a verse commentary for the final minutes of a documentary film of the same title, Night Meal. So the film was conceived as Night Meal, and along with that, a verse commentary was given, like we have a scroll of names going up after the end of the film. Similarly, this was a tribute written in the form of a poem to, give to pay respect to the people, people who were involved in the postal service department. Produced by the GPO, General Post Office Film Unit, in which Auden was employed at the time as an assistant director. He paced it to match the rhythm of the train's wheel with a stopwatch in order to fit it exactly to the shot. So the poem was written in such a way that it seems like when you read the poem as if the train is moving. It is celebrated as the classic example of film soundtrack verse in English. It first describes the arrival of a night train, this being the LMS Postal Special Express from London Euston to Aberdeen via Crewe, Glasgow and Edinburgh across the Scottish border, making for Glasgow as the country sleeps. So, where does the Night Meal travel from? It travels from London to Scotland. Okay, this is the route in which the train moves. Alright, so far clear? Alright, let us move into the poem now. The Night Meal by W.H. Auden. This is the night mail crossing the border, bringing the check and the postal order. Letters for the rich, letters for the poor, the shop at the corner and the girl next door. So you see how the lines rhyme with each other. This is only border, order, pour, do. This is done deliberately on the part of the poet to give it a feeling as if the train is moving, so that the audience could connect with it. So the night mail is passing and it is crossing the border. The poet has not specified here which border, but we assume that since it is passing from London to Scotland border, it is somewhere there. And what does the night mail bring in? It brings in checks and the postal order. In those days there was no GPay or no net banking. So these when people needed to send money from one corner to the other, they needed to send it in an envelope. They needed to send in an envelope, and they need to send this as a letter. So it was bringing the check and the postal order. Letters for the rich, letters for the poor, the shop at the corner and the girl next door. So you see here, the night mail brings in letters for every people from all walks of life. It does not differentiate between the rich and the poor. Okay, so this is a very important message which is being conveyed by the poet in the poem, that is of social equity. Pulling up Bettock, a steady climb. Bettock is a small village, hamlet. The gradient's against her, but she's on time. So the train is climbing up the hill. The slope is against her. Gradient means slope. The slope is against her, but she's on time. So even though the train is moving on a high slope, okay, that does not deter the train from reaching her destination on time. Alright, now you see the train is particularly referred to as she. Okay, so this is an instance of personification. Past cotton grass and moorland boulder, shoveling white steam over her shoulder, snorting noisily as she passes silent miles of wind-bent grasses. So past cotton grass. Cotton grass is small shrubs and bushes which grow along the railway tracks in the countrysides. And moorland is barren land, and boulders are huge rocks, So the train passes these places, these things, and it gives out white steam, okay, as it passes. And then it snorts heavily, the bugle kind of sound that it produces. Rather, when the train moves, the sound, the whistle which the train gives is referred to as snorting. This figure of speech is your onomatopoeia, sound words. Snorting noisily as she passes silent miles of wind-bent grasses. So grasses are growing along the track of the railway lines, and high velocity wind is also moving here because these are vast open land. So the wind, what the wind has done is it has bent the grasses. Alright. Okay. Birds turn their heads as she approaches, stare from the bushes at her blank-faced coaches. Shipdogs cannot turn her course, they slumber on with paws across. So birds turn their heads as she approaches. As the train approaches, the birds turn their head to look down who is coming. Stare from the bushes at her blank-faced coaches. And these birds stay where? In the bushes. They remain hidden in the bushes, no? So they keep looking with a blank face. They're surprised to see that the coaches are all empty. Shipdogs cannot turn her course. They slumber on with paws across. The sheepdogs know that nothing serious is going to happen. They are essentially guard dogs. So they guard the sheep on the farm against imminent danger. But they realize that it is no dangerous thing. So they keep on sleeping. They are least bothered. In the farm she passes, no one wakes, but a jug in the bedroom shakes gently. So the train passes through the farm, no, but nobody wakes up in the farm. Okay. But there is a jug kept in one of the rooms of the farm where it is shaking because the train moves at a very high speed, no? Dawn freshens, the climb is done. Down towards Glasgow she descends. Towards the steam tugs yelping down the glade of cranes, towards the field of apparatus, the furnaces set on the dark plain like gigantic chessmen. So dawn freshens when morning comes in and she climbs the steep mountains. That is done. Down towards Glasgow she descends. So after climbing the steep mountain, the train moves down towards Glasgow. And towards the steam tugs yelping down the glade of cranes, towards the field of apparatus, the furnaces set on the dark plain like gigantic chessmen. This is your simile. This figure of speech is your simile. The field of apparatus, the furnaces set on the dark plain like gigantic chessmen. This reminds me of that particular scene from Harry Potter. Those of us are Potter maniacs or Potterheads as you'll call yourselves. Let me know in the comment section which scene am I talking about. Alright. So yes, as the train passes, there are these factories and the chimneys on the countryside, on the outskirts of the city. Okay, and they look like giant chessmen. So this is a figure of speech known as your simile. All Scotland waits for her, and the entire Scotland waits eagerly for the train to arrive. In the dark gleams beside the pale green sea locks, men long for news. Men are eagerly waiting for the train to arrive because it carries letters and it brings in news. Letters of thanks, letters from banks, letters of joy from the girl and the boy. Receipted bills and invitations to inspect new stock or visit relations. So what kind of letters does it bring in? The poet is very meticulous in describing each of them. Letters of thanks, letters of gratitude, letters from banks, notices from banks. Letters of joy, of happiness from the girl and the boy. Receipted bills, your bills and invitation cards of your weddings. To inspect new stock or visit relations for official purposes. And applications for situations, that is job applications. And timid lovers declarations, so love letters. And gossip from all the nations, so news from all the nation. Why was this important? Because this was the period of world wars. Lot of changes happening, so news is coming in constantly. News circumstantial, news financial. Letters with holiday snaps to enlarge in. Some are even sending holiday pictures, snaps of pictures, holiday pictures along with the letters so that they could be enlarged and framed. Letters with faces scrawled in the margin, caricatures made. Letters from uncles, cousins and aunts. Letters to Scotland from the south of France. So letters are also coming in from Scotland, from the south of France. Letters of condolences, that is expressing sadness on someone's death, to Highlands and Lowlands. Notes from overseas to Hebrides. These are all names of places from where letters are coming in. Written on paper of every hue. So the letters are of different color. The pink, the violet, the white and the blue. The chatty, the catty, the boring, adoring. So various color letters are sent. The pink, violet, white and blue. Along with that, the description of letters is also there. So you see, our poet is extremely detailed in his observation. He says some of the letters are chatty, that is very long, like the kind of chit chats we do, long. Some are very catty, that is some are very curt, some are very harsh, some are extremely boring, while others are filled with love, adoring. The cold and official and the heart's outpouring. Some are overflowing with emotions. Clever, stupid, short and long. So these are the various ways in which he describes each of them. The typed and the printed and spelt all wrong. And some of them are even with wrong spellings. Thousands are still asleep, dreaming of terrifying monster or of friendly tea beside the band at Cranston's or Crawford's. Cranstons and Crawfords, these are cafeterias, okay, where you could get good coffees. So either people are sleeping when the train is approaching, and in their sleep they're either dreaming of monsters or they're dreaming of having tea with their friends in one of these cafes. Asleep in working Glasgow, asleep in well set Edinburgh. People are asleep everywhere, whether it's in Glasgow or whether it's in Edinburgh. Asleep in Granite, Aberdeen. Aberdeen is also a name of a place. Why Granite, Aberdeen? Because Aberdeen is very popular for granite. So people are all sleeping everywhere. They continue their dreams and shall wake soon and long for letters. So the moment they wake up from their sleep, what they are going to wait for? Letters, because they bring in information from their home. Also, it helps them to connect with their family. And shall wake soon and long for letters, and none will hear the postman's knock without a quickening of the heart. So the moment the postman knocks on the door, what happened? The heartbeat increases because some news has come from home. For who can bear to feel himself forgotten? Alright, so this is a very simplistic poem, but then it propagates two very important ideas. The first idea which the poem propagates is that man is a social animal. He cannot live in isolation, no? So he needs to be in touch constantly with his near and dear ones. It could be his friends, it could be his family, it could be anyone in his relation. But the moot point is he needs to be in touch, in constant correspondence. So when the train arrives, these men await eagerly. Okay, and whenever the postman knocks at the door, their heart skips a bit at times. Okay, so this brings out essentially the importance of man as a social being. That is number one. And number two, as I said, it tries to question the hierarchy present in society, because the train which carries letters, it does not discriminate between the rich and the poor, the man and the woman. It carries letters for everyone and anyone. Alright, so if the mail train is not doing such activity, why should we give indulgence to such demarcations and such distinctions in society? That is what probably the poet is trying to hint at through this poem. Alright, I hope I could have given you a very, very simplistic explanation of the poem. If you have liked this explanation, please give me a like. It will keep me motivated. And also do not forget to subscribe to my channel, because more videos are coming up soon. Really soon, I promise you. Okay? Till then, goodbye. Thank you.